Come on, Flower, we're almost there!
Words that won't ever leave me. No matter what drugs the doctors pump through my veins, what the therapists have me draw or say, no matter what I scream out at the woods, they're always there, haunting me. A shadow or a ghost doesn't matter. My life has gone to hell, and I should have gone with it.
Come on, Flower, we're almost there!
Why won't they leave? Why won't they leave? I should explain, shouldn't I? That will possibly help. My name isn't important. I did at one point, but I can no longer bear to hear my own name at this point. I was given a few nicknames. Flower, Philly, Dandelion. But all of them hurt. I had 3 sisters, but I'll call them by nicknames for privacy. I don't need anyone trying to find us online, but I also want to respect everyone. Cece, my best friend, 16. Liette, the stubborn, bratty middle child, 19. Shar, the tired oldest, 20. We were joined by brothers Alan and Will Graham, close enough to their real names, 17. Why did we go to Rose Park at 9 p.m. this past summer? Good question. I don't know what possessed us, but this is what happened. I recorded the event for fun, but now it's the only proof that I didn't go mad and murder everyone. Alan arrived at the park as enthusiastic as always. He handed us his phone and said, "Look, it's a horse," Liette said, rolling her eyes. "It has a weird growth, okay?" No, it's a unicorn, I swear." Alan took his phone back and grinned. "I'm gonna go find it." "Will," Liette turned to the other boy, who shrugged and shook his head. "Your brother's gone insane again." Will only looked away, but his expression was blank. I wish he had spoken up, said anything to stop us. I should have said something, anything, but I was stupid. I was the youngest of the group, and I wanted to be included in the fun. I didn't think much of it. Why would I? "I'll go too," I whispered, and that made Cece agree to come. In turn, Will decided to come, if only to maybe sneak away and make out with her under the moonlight in the willow tree. "Ugh, fine," Liette groaned. "I hate all of you, you know that, right?" "Of course, Lee, whatever you say." Shar always tried to keep the peace among us. As the oldest of a group of teenage idiots, she had enough babysitting experience for 5 people. I'm sure we drove her mad throughout the years. We met up that weekend, all ready for what should have been a fun night in the park we loved so much. I set up a GoPro on a harness just in case I'd see anything that I'd want to draw later on. I got my wish. Don't worry about that. Liette and Shar drove together. Will and Cece went in his car, and Alan had picked me up from ballet practice. I'd had to stay late because I wasn't doing too well for the Swan Lake rehearsal. We went to dinner first, and then the park. Everyone was excited. Regardless of if the unicorn was ever even real, it was a chance to screw around with no real adults around. Alan and I started walking around, laughing and talking like always. He asked me how practice was going, and I lied and said everything was fine. The camera shows how brightly he beamed at me. The sight of it pains me. It's been months since I've seen that look, and I still begin to cry every single time. If I had told him the truth, maybe we'd hang back and talk about it more. Maybe he'd still be here. Then again, Cece would still be dead. I don't know which I prefer. Around 10, we split up. He had heard something off in the distance. After hours of rewatching the video, I realized that it was an owl. Just a stupid barn owl. I wandered away and I found a clearing to sit down and start sketching on my phone. Minutes go by and the lines morph into a ballerina. Minutes go by and the lines morph into a ballerina dancing on a music box. Right when I started applying the base colors, a sound can be heard on the camera. A neigh, followed by a whinny. I looked behind me, and to my surprise, a beautiful horse was staring at me. Maybe 20 hands high, pure white, and so graceful and lithe. It moved as though dancing, and I think it was a mare. What I remember most was the horn. Amethyst in color and exactly like a jewel. It was mesmerizing, and I wanted to touch it. I rose to my feet and approached it, and it let me. Why did it let me? What made me so special? Its mane was shiny and soft beneath my fingertips, like running a hand through water. It rested on the grass, and its lion-like tail flicked. I began to braid its mane and even threaded some flowers in it. In that moment, I felt like a fairy tale princess. Nothing moved. It was only me and the unicorn. We were connected in a way that would never be replicated. Just me and her. As terrifying as it is to admit, I almost want to go back to that time. The colors around me blurred and swirled, all blues and purples. So beautiful. My world became a Van Gogh painting, and I didn't want to leave. Who was I to leave her? She needed me so much. Hey, Philly, we're gonna head back. Lietta had come across us, and she stumbled backwards and hit the ground. Get away from that thing! She's not a thing, I said. My voice was too dreamy to be real, and the colors blended together to become a cloud. She's calling to me. What is that? Lietta was practically screaming, eyes wide with fear. Philly, get away from it! No, I sang out, and she wrenched me away from the clearing. The colors sharpened, and I could see again. The beautiful unicorn stared back, blinking those sweet blue eyes at me. Lietta yanked me through the trees, and she broke into a run when she deemed the distance safe. I pulled away, and she screamed and tried to go after me. I ran like a marionette, ran like I shouldn't be stopped. She chased me through the darkness, and I shook her off as best as I could. She didn't scream again. No. The last sound she made was a whimper. Not a plea nor a beg, just a tiny tremble of breath before the light faded from her eyes. The unicorn came up to me, gore still on its horn, and I watched as it rose onto its hind legs and whinnied. It no longer looked delicate and lovely. Sharp teeth lined the inside of its maw, and its eyes were too blue, too piercing. It wanted my approval. I've come to believe that now. When it didn't get that, I turned around and knelt at her body and began to feast. The sound of my sister's flesh tearing, of it eating. My appetite's gone forever. When I ran again, it was for my life. Char was the first person I bumped into, but I was barely able to explain my panic when I saw it again. She gasped, and I grabbed her and bolted. We became its quarry, and we were powerless to stop it. The sound of its hoofbeats were a death sentence, and that sentence came to pass before it could plead. It ran its horn through her shoulder and flung her over its body. She hit the tree, but I wasn't allowed to go check on her. The unicorn had seen Cece. And I'd never forgive myself if I let it kill another person. As it changed direction, I tried to grab its mane and pull. All this did was agitate it further, and Cece screamed upon seeing it. I'm not sure what she saw, but it's not what it's been burned into my mind. It sped up and led her through the tangle of trees in an attempt to confuse the beast. The slight glimpses the camera catches of it show a magnificent creature bathed in moonlight, expression twisted into something deadly. Cece ran ahead of me, and I still remember how relieved she sounded when she found the cave we've been in 100 times. There was a river that I'd lie in and listen to her sing. We would be safe, right? Come on, Flower! We're almost there! Its flailing hooves knocked her down, and one stamped on her head. I couldn't even scream. Just a whimper in absolute fear. As it continued to trample her, I booked it into the cave, covered my ears, and prayed. The camera picked up on the blood-curdling shrieks that rang throughout the night. Even when I somehow fell asleep, the camera stayed on. When I dared to exit the cave, it was waiting for me. It was no longer white, but it had the same gentle look in its eyes. It bowed its head as I approached it, and it tried to throw me onto its back. I remember crying out as its horn ripped through my leg, and it snorted and threw me off. Its tongue slid out of its mouth, and hot saliva dripped onto my knee. It huffed, and I curled up and waited for my demise. Instead, it left me. I don't know how I got home, but I do know that the cops and doctors became the second most familiar thing to me. Question after question, prompt after prompt, drug after drug, all too much. I took to drawing and stopped talking. Every drawing shows the same thing. My parents grow worried for me as I wasted away in my bedroom, but they grew focused on the funerals. 3 at once is a lot, you know? Nightmares festered in my mind, growing beyond all control. Same thing. It's always been the same thing. I couldn't even dance to distract myself. Even now, I wonder, why me? It should have killed me too. Why leave me alive? That river. Maybe I should go back with some flowers. Do what my namesake did. There's no point in this anymore, is there?
Thanks so much for making it to the end of this video. A quick shout out to my patrons: Seven Cities Journalist, Mr. Sankofa, Austin My Love, Rinku Star, William Hartley, Cupcake Kips, Alonzo, IC Narrates, and Jesse Hartley. And guys, every month I put in the description a different cause or organization or charity to give money to donate. Me, myself, I'm devoutly Christian, so these are the places that I tend to include in my tithing for the month. And if you so feel led to give back to someone in need who really needs that operation for that super rare disease, or to relieve a family of their grief and their loss, or even just general natural disaster funds, it would be so wonderful if you guys could check out the links in my description, or even just go off and find another cause that you would like to donate to. I highly encourage it. Even if you can only give $1, it is so good to help people in their time of need. And I love the idea of paying it forward. And hey, if you're one of my patrons and you're giving to me monthly and you don't have enough funds to do both, to support me and to support someone else in need, I also highly encourage not being my patron, even if you do want to eventually in the future, and giving to that other person. I would really appreciate that, guys. Let's make this a world that loves and cares about each other. And aside from that, thank you guys again for watching and also for your continued support. Let me know how I can be praying for you. You can leave a comment. You could find my Instagram and send me a message. You can message me in my Discord server, and I'd love to do that for you guys. Thank you again so much. God bless, and I'll see you in the next video.